So I'm in the garage working on the golf cart again. And one of the things that nobody likes is this steering wheel that's on it. It's plastic and it looks like it should be on a boat or something. And we've got this sort of cool looking old wood steering wheel. It's got a chunk out of it that needs to be fixed. But it would look better and it's about the right diameter and everything. So it doesn't have brakes. We haven't got the motor working yet. We don't have a seat. The back is all sort of cut up because we're going to add an integrated cooler and things back here. It needs to be painted. There's rust holes in the quarters. So instead of working on any of the things that it needs, I'm going to see if we can get the steering wheel off and see if we can put this one on. Now the problem with getting this off is that it's plastic, and I put a puller on here and it was just kind of squeezing the plastic and it wasn't making any progress actually moving it. So I think I know how to get this thing off, and it lets me use my cool plasma cutter that I bought. So I'm going to try that tonight and see if I can get this steering wheel off. So here's what this steering wheel looks like. You can see it's not beautiful, and I think somebody's tried to get it off already. There's no nut holding it on and the cap's gone, and part of this was me, but it was like this already. You can see where the puller was on here, and it's just kind of crushing this plastic in. So my solution to this is to make a plate that's going to fit in between there. This is my template that I made. This will go in there something like that, and then the puller can grab onto that instead of the plastic and hopefully pull that off. Now another tip on using a puller on these, because that's a hollow shaft, I like to put a bolt down in there, especially one of these cap nuts, because it's got that head. Because the puller, where it pushes on that is like a cone, and I've actually seen them make that shaft sort of flare out, which certainly doesn't help you get the steering wheel off, and also will mess up those threads so you can't put a nut on there. So the next step is to use our template and make one of these out of some plate that I've got. So the piece of plate I'm going to use to make that is some from my scrap metal pile. This was originally a snowmobile dolly that I got on clearance. I bought it just for the casters because it had 4 really nice casters. There's actually a set of 3 of them. And the casters are under things all over my shop now. And really? And to trace out my circle, I found this little piece of exhaust pipe that's just about the perfect size. So we'll cut that out, and we'll cut out that center piece, and then we'll be good to go. Kind of like the Pac-Man guy. Okay, so the little Pac-Man guy is cut out and cooled down, and it's going to fit in there almost perfectly. So we'll hook up this puller. So now the puller can grab on with its fingers onto metal instead of plastic. And I have a wrench here. Let's see if this will pull this off. And like I showed before, that nut is in there. Well, it's bending the metal. I don't know. It's not moving yet. It's getting tight. I think. Oh, look at that. Now it bent Pac-Man up pretty bad, but that's okay. I don't expect to use this guy again. Steering wheel is off. So let's see what the other one looks like. So this is sort of a moment of truth situation here, because I don't know if this is going to go on here if the splines are the same. Oh, yeah, it's going to work. Front wheel's turning a little bit. Well, that's going to be excellent. Yeah, I think we have a solution. I think we have a steering wheel that's going to work. So next is going to be fixing this little chunk that's missing out of there. That'll be a woodworking project, something a little bit different than this. So this is absolutely an improvement over that silly white one. It's down there on the floor now. So now that I've got that steering wheel off of the golf cart, I can start doing a little bit of repair on this old one. So the biggest problem is this chunk that's out of it. It's very dirty, and I'm not sure how this paint is going to clean up. Might have to paint this silver part or gray part here. This cap definitely needs some paint. There's paint flaking off of it. I'll probably pull these little bolts out and paint those and put them back in. And on the back, there's this trim piece, and it's all loose. I've never actually taken one of these apart, so I'm going to figure out how these work. And I think there's got to be bolts in here that need to be tightened up. I'll fix this dent, and then I'll sand the surface down and put something on to protect it, some sort of polyurethane or something like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is pop this center out and sort of see what's underneath and figure out how to get this tightened up so it doesn't flop around like that. I don't really know what holds this cap in. Oh, it just kind of fell out there. It's funny, it was kind of hooked in there before. So that came out. And this would be the horn mechanism. That's what that wire's for. So there'd be a big spring, which seems to be missing underneath there. And these bolts, I guess, hold it all together. And it looks like there should be 3. 1, 2, 3. There's 2. And they're kind of weird shoulder bolts. So I guess this is supposed to slide up and down on that shoulder bolt with the spring, so that when you push on this horn button, it honks the horn, and then that would be the contact ring to make the horn honk. We're not going to use that because we don't have a setup for a horn on this, so I don't actually need this piece at all. And these bolts, oh, there's 2 of them. They look like they're just 1/4 inch bolts. I'm sure I have some of those. So then that separates me from this piece, which is like a trim cover piece, and that is the adapter that holds the steering wheel onto the steering shaft. So I can probably just bolt this on with some regular 1/4 inch bolts. That solves that whole problem. So I might as well fix the dents in this thing while it's off, and then I can paint that. I can paint that center cap. So my plan to fix this is to square it up and then find a piece of wood that sort of matches and glue that in. Then I can sand the whole thing to match. So I got to figure out a way to mark this so that I can cut 2 nice parallel lines. And I think I have a solution. The solution is masking tape. So this isn't quite wide enough, but 2 strips should be right. So this is going to get me a lot closer to 2 parallel lines. Unfortunately, I don't have any tape that is this width, which is what I need. So now if I take this ruler, I can measure it in between my tape lines, and I am just about 1 1/4. And if I measure on the outside, yeah, I'm exactly there too. It's a little hard because it's curved, but this is going to accomplish what I want. I'm going to do this with my pull saw because this is the finest tooth blade I have available, and it should make a really nice sort of clean cut. And I'm going to destroy the tape. That's all right. The tape's sacrificial. That was intended to happen. I think we're through, and I don't want to hit the metal too hard and dull my saw. Okay, we're free. So that's sort of out with the bad. So now I have to find a piece of wood to replace that. Now, I don't know what kind of wood this is. But I'll find something in my scrap pile that looks sort of close. And I'm going to put stain on this, so color is not 100% important. I grabbed these pieces that I had laying around, and at first I thought this piece of maple was going to be sort of the perfect one. But then I saw this piece of a broom handle, which already has a natural curve to it, but it looks like it's really close to the same color. It's hard to tell because this was cut off with a really rough saw, but ooh. I think I'm going to try this, and also, look at that profile. We're so close to the right size. So the trick next is going to be to make a flat edge, like that. So my plan, I think, is going to be to clamp this and use my planer, handheld planer, to see if I can make a flat edge. And I got enough of this that I can try this a couple of times if it doesn't work right away. Not quite wide enough. Like one more. Yeah, I think one more pass. Yep, that's perfect. What I'm going to do is clamp this right close to here where I want to cut. And I'm actually going to use the workmate as a guide for my saw. So if I have my the blade against here, this is pretty close to square. So that's going to be really good. It's going to be really good. So now I got to mark this. And I got lots of this material, so I can try this a couple of times if I don't get it right on the first shot. Oh, it's so close. So close. Yeah, a little bit of sandpaper. That's going to slide right in. So I'm going to glue this in with Gorilla Glue. Let that sit overnight. So I ended up getting a little carried away and sanded the whole steering wheel, but I'm really happy with the way it comes out. I have a plan for this. Originally, I was going to paint the silver part, but now I'm going to, and I have a vision for this thing. I hope it looks cool. So I'm using Gorilla Glue, which is a moisture cure glue. So it needs a little bit of moisture, hence the name, to sort of activate it. So this is just regular water. This is what I used to water some of my plants out here in the garage with. So I'm going to make a mess. But I got gloves on, so it's okay. I'm going to wipe off a little bit of glue that squeezed out there. It's all good. And now to figure out a way to clamp this so it doesn't move overnight. And that's going to be slightly tricky because it's round. You know, that's holding really nicely there. So let that sit overnight, come back to it in the morning.